Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful and we're beautiful and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the Spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
The 98th Emperor of the Holy Britannian Empire.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump came out and he said something that I think is absolutely true. Now, the media isn't really reporting this so much, and it's sort of being downplayed because the media loves nothing more than to gin up these sort of sensationalistic stories as it relates to this situation with Canada and the United States. I'll give you an example, and then we have another video to watch. But one of the examples is this from TVO Today. This was posted 2 days ago. Canada's most decorated soldier on the war with America. So this soldier 50 years ago wrote a book about America invading Canada. And if you look at this guy who looks like a character from Skyrim, you know, the character creator when you pick a certain race and his face looks ridiculous. This guy is playing into the idea that, wow, a war with America. Man, they're right there on our doorstep. They're going to invade us for our resources. And this guy who, he does look like a high elf from Skyrim. Okay, I can't unsee it. He does look like a high elf from Skyrim. All right? This guy is playing up on the idea that America has always been interested in Canada. We always want their resources. We want their minerals. And so he's playing into this sort of narrative. And the media is doing this because it's good content. It's good clicks. And these people are prostitutes. These people will do anything for clicks and attention. These people in the media are more whorish than even Twitch streamers, if you can believe it.
101st birthday in January, and we are delighted to welcome you back to TVO.
Always nice to be here and in your presence.
Amen to that, sir. Let us start with this. What made you think, more than 50 years ago, that this kind of conflict between the United States and Canada could be possible?
Well, I suppose...
So they found the oldest man in Canada. This guy's 101. Like, so Grandpa, did you always know that America was bad and evil and that they would want to go to war with us? It's like, come on.
If I look back on it, I can't answer the question for you because it all sort of came together. The things that I was doing in my practice of law at that time, I had a great involvement with the Americans. I had a great involvement with people in northern Canada, and a whole bunch of things were happening. One of the things that was happening was there was a great deal of natural gas and crude oil being found in the high Arctic that hadn't been there before. So I was interested in the pipelines that were being put together. And I wound up at Newfoundland quite often dealing with the people there and the situation. But when it came to the business of writing, I was new at the game. I had chaired the Royal Commission on Book Publishing in Ontario, and I knew who all the publishers were. And so I had a storyline that I thought I should develop, and I started to talk to some publishers about doing that.
But when you did it and you explained what the plot would be, America invading Canada to take our resources, did any of them come back at you and say, this is too fanciful, it's not believable?
No, they didn't do that at all. They were a little stunned by the proposition, but the reality was that I could feel the whole situation. I knew there was a lot of demand from the United States to run things for us, whether we liked it or not. That has not changed in the 50 years. And so when I got to put the plot together for Ultimatum, it was a big focus on the high north, the Nunavut area, the Arctic Islands, which I knew quite a bit about at that point. I was still practicing law, so I was able to fold some legal questions into it. And I was watching very carefully what was happening in Parliament. And so when it came time to put it all together, I had the Prime Minister leading the party of the day in the House of Commons and handling the whole question from his point of view. And on the other side, I had the President of the United States, who was a main SOB, and he decided that he was going to take over Canada. Take over Canada. He's going to actually say, you are now American citizens. And I've got a great section in the book where he makes a little speech like that, was right on the money.
So when Trump said, yeah, we want to annex Canada as a 51st state and have your prime minister become our 51st governor, how did that sit with you?
Well, it sat with me over from a fictional point of view, but it doesn't sit with me at all in terms of, I'm a Canadian. I fought my time during the war. I did 135 missions as a reconnaissance pilot, getting shot at all the time. And I've paid my dues, and I'm a Canadian, top and bottom. And so in the book, Ultimatum, you'll find two definite stories running parallel. The Americans, how they're looking at us, and the Canadians, how they're looking at it from the viewpoint of the Prime Minister and the viewpoint of the President. And they are the two lead characters in those books. And
so tell me this, in Ultimatum, how well does our fictitious Prime Minister stand up to the bully boy President?
He stands up very, very well, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
and,
yeah, imagine that. You know, the Canada, like, you listen to this fossil, and it becomes apparently clear the problem here. It becomes apparently clear that the interviewer, who absolutely does look like a high elf from Skyrim. In fact, we're gonna take a slight detour. By the way, this is my new Canada face. When somebody from Canada says something particularly retarded, this is the fake face I make. High old Skyrim. Okay. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. He looks... Okay, I'm... You know, I'm just saying, it's pretty uncanny, the resemblance there, from this vulture who's trying to gin up anti-American sentiment. Oh, don't you have pride as a Canadian? And like, what would what would happen in your book? Would the Prime Minister win? You as a Canadian, does the Prime Minister win? Did they overcome America? Of course they do. It's fiction. But the reality is that, and we're going to watch this video in a minute, Trump makes it very clear that an invasion of Canada is not on the table. It's not on the table. And do you know why? Do you know why it's not on the table? Because it's not worth it. That's the thing that's crazy. The arrogance of these Canadians is outrageous. Like, you can say, oh, you Americans are just as egotistical. We have every reason to be. We're the biggest military. We're the biggest economy. We are the biggest and most powerful nation on earth. You, Canada, are not. And you have this delusion that you're on our level. That, the Americans, they just want to control everything. You literally elected for the last 10 years a tyrant, a dictator who wanted to literally control everything. You gave away your First Amendment right. You gave away freedom of speech. You gave away your right to bear arms. You allowed your government to flood your country with illegal immigrants. People, you brought in people. In fact, you can't even call them illegal. You want to talk about pride in a country? You have nothing to be proud of as a Canadian. Your country is a joke. It's a shit show. You have unfettered immigration. You've got carbon taxes up the ass. You're taxed so ridiculously high. Your healthcare system that you're so proud of is a joke. Oh, you're sick, you need an operation, oh, good luck. 6 months to a year. The fact is that you would be better in every way if Trump did make you the 51st, 52nd, 53rd, 54th state. If he made you all a state, you would be better off. But because you're under this delusion that you're our equal, you think that you're our economic equal, you think you're our military equal. You're LARPing about, well, if the U.S. comes, well, in my fictional book that I wrote 50 years ago, we Canadians win. Well, keep dreaming. Because the reality is we're not going to invade you. We don't need to. Your economy is run by far-left radicals. A bunch of demented, deranged freaks. And they've driven your country into the ground. The only thing that Trump has to do is wait. Wait until your economy sinks you to the point where Trump can come in and buy you for pennies on the dollar. But I don't think he should. I actually don't think he should save them. I don't. You want to be arrogant? You want to hate on Americans? Fine. We'll be fine. We will be fine. You can go down with your ship.
Ultimately happened. That's the problem. But it was a book that surprised me in terms of the way it did turn out in the end result. And it's exactly what's happening today. The Americans right now, they're getting everybody in Europe mad at them. The vice president's of the United States is over telling the Germans and the French, everybody what they should be doing, making terrible speeches.
So keep in mind, if ever you wanted more example that this old man is a fucking retard, J.D. Vance went over to Europe and said, yeah, your draconian speech laws that you're imprisoning people over offenses and meme posts and, oh, you made an offense post, oh, the police are sent to your house. J.D. Vance is right. This guy is a pathetic, sad old man. his book, I mean, it could be very good. I don't know. I doubt it. It seems like a fantasy LARP. And it seems like that's what these Canadians are doing. They're pretending, they're LARPing. Well, their economy goes downhill. Well, they've allowed all the rights to be taken away. Well, they've allowed all the rights to be taken away. Now that Trump wants reciprocal tariffs, these brain-dead maple syrup sucking assholes are now trying to paint him as the bad guy. America, the great invader. We're not going to invade shit. You're going to come begging us well before we're going to come begging you. We don't need you. And to further elucidate that point, I want to pull up a post. Let's see.
And on that note, let's bring in the Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Doug Ford.
By the way, this is the guy that made the threat to cut off energy to American citizens. You know that guy. You're threatening to harm American citizens.
Talk more about this. So,
thanks for having me on, John.
Good to have you here. So the president says that he's not going to bend when it comes to trade relations with Canada. Listen to how he put it in the Oval Office.
We've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all. Aluminum or steel or cars, we're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give.
So the president says he doesn't need much from Canada.
Well, he sort of cut him off there. They tried to do it for a soundbite. But he's absolutely right.
Canada, you're about to go into a meeting with the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. Based on the president's position, how do you think that meeting's going to go?
Well, we'll see. We want a constructive meeting. I just have to remind the American people, the president and Secretary Lutnick, we're your largest customer. There's no one that buys more products off the United States than we do. And guess what? Inflation's going to happen. A tariff on Canada.
Inflation has already gone down. You make up less than 2% of our GDP. You really need to get it out of your head that we need you. You really need to get that out of your head. You're not our biggest customer. You're not. We don't need you. And the fact is that not only do we not need you, but the fact that your instinct was to threaten us when we put on reciprocal tariffs. The fact that your instinct was to threaten us tells us not only do we not need you, but we should actually work towards axing you out of our market completely. Axing you out of the market completely. You are irrelevant.
Canada is a tax on the American people. We're already seeing it with the aluminum and steel within cars. You're going to be paying a lot more for everything right across the board because you can't get aluminum anywhere else. You only produce 16% of your aluminum. We ship in over 60%. So anything that has aluminum, you're going to pay more. Anything that has steel, you're going to pay more. You're bringing over close to $10 billion of aluminum in, over $6 billion of steel in. This is hurting the American people. The markets are speaking.
No, you threaten to hurt the American people. We'll be fine. We'll be fine without you. The price may go up a little bit, but we're bringing in money from tariffs. There are investments that are coming in. No, you are not responding in a way that an intelligent person would respond, which is with humility, with understanding that you're not that big, you're not that important, and Trump is absolutely right. You don't think Trump has looked at the numbers? You don't think Trump has taken a look and said, yeah, these guys don't have anything that we need? Of course. Here's the reality. The reason that you sell us that stuff is because nobody else would buy it from you. Because the cost to ship it, the cost to export it elsewhere, you don't have the infrastructure for that. You don't have the ability to do that. The reason why you sell us your crude so cheap is because you don't have the ability to refine it yourself. You don't have the technology. You don't have the ability. So who do you think you're fooling? Well, obviously, the American people aren't buying your narrative that without Canada, the American people are going to be hurt. That's obviously off the table. No one believes that. So what are you going to do next? Your biggest your biggest gamble failed. You threatened the American people. It failed. Now people want retribution. They want more tariffs. In fact, people are talking about, hey, put a 300% tariff on everything from Canada. Canada did 100%, we can do 300%. Crush them. They want to boo our national anthem. They want to show a lack of respect for our military, pretend like we're going to invade them, play these LARP games, these narcissistic maple syrup sucking retards. Let them sink. You elected Trudeau for years. You've been a liberal government. You have a carbon tax on your people. You have violated free speech laws. What you did to the truckers is indefensible. You are a fallen state, and you're insignificant, and you're pathetic. That's the reality.
Absolutely tumbling over $4.5 trillion. And
$4.5 trillion. Like, the delusion from these Canadians. Trump has done us the biggest favor I've ever seen to decouple us from these people. They actually think that they're our equals. They have this snotty, snobbish, like holier than thou sort of, like we're so much more spirit. No, you're not. You're really, really not. And so I would say your best bet would be to become states. It would. But you're not going to do that because we're too proud. We're proud Canadians. Proud of what? Proud of nothing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, actually, let me read this post. I said, when confronted with the prospect of not being able to rip off Americans, this man's first instinct was to threaten the lives of American citizens with shutting off energy in winter with a smile on his face. Canada is not our friend. It is not our ally. Trump is right. There is nothing we need. That's correct. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will never pass up an opportunity to take a swing at Canada. I don't understand where they get their ego from. I genuinely don't get it. Why they think they're so much better than Americans when they're not. They have nothing to be proud of. Their country is a shithole. I mean, look at what they've done with Trudeau. They continuously elect a liberal, authoritarian government. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.